Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I'm Gyi from Attorney Sync, and I am freezing. So cold here.
And I'm Conrad from Mockingbird, and in my garage, under a cover, keeping itself warm, I have a 1974 Triumph TR6, which I bought from the second owner about 4 years ago.
I haven't seen any pictures of that online, Conrad.
No, I kind of, I keep my car a little quiet, but it's fun. It is a great drive. It is as analog as you can possibly get, and every year I have to spend money to keep it running.
Ooh, analog. I love analog. We'll probably be talking more about analog on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, but we don't just talk about beautiful cars here on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We talk about marketing law firms, especially in the digital age, PE age, consolidation age. Conrad, what else were we talking about today?
We are going to start, as always, with the news. And then Gyi just gave you a little foreshadowing about what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk again about private equity in the legal world. But also, before that, we are going to walk through a follow-up to last episode where we were decrying the lack of legal voice in the rule of law and what is going on in this country right now. And we're going to make a 180 turnaround and call out some lawyers who are actually calling out the government.
Because after all, the rule of law makes the world go round.
Money makes the world go round. Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, teaching you how to promote, market, and make fat stacks for your legal practice. Here on Legal Talk Network.
You know, Gyi, I gotta say, these headphones, high-end headphones, when that bass comes on with Money Makes the World Go Round, it is absolutely solid. I spend a lot of time with headphones on, especially on airplanes. I think buying a good pair of headphones is money well spent.
What are you rocking there?
These are Bose. These were this is terrible. This is how I made my decision. Because I spent so much time, I wore out my last ones, and I found a brand. This is how I buy technology. I found the most trusted brand name that I liked, and I said, give me the most expensive ones. That was my unsophisticated approach to making sure I had amazing headphones.
Brand makes the world go round.
Brand makes the world go round. Before we get into our segments, we're first going to hit the news.
All right, it's the first news item today. Anthropic's legal plugin for Claude Cowork may be an open salvo in a competition between foundation models and legal tech incumbents. That's Bob Ambrosi's headline at Law Next. Go check it out. I think for me, when I think about this, and especially if I'm sitting there thinking as a lawyer, it goes to this idea, the big vision right now is that because these legal specific technology platforms are grounded in firm data, they hallucinate less, they provide better answers. That's the thesis. And I'm curious to see if that plays out over time, especially as Anthropic's open sourcing this. You're going to get law firms building on it. You're going to get other builders building on it. It's a very, very interesting thing. And again, I was just having lunch with a lawyer the other day. They're spending so much money on this AI stuff for the firms that's legal tech specific. And I wonder if the foundation models are going to be able to compete and bring the cost way down for law firms.
I mean, it's interesting. This Ambrosi cites a study from The Guardian, which focuses on the European market, but they actually called out 4 different stocks in legal tech that dropped with the announcement from Anthropic. The drops were 8%, 14%, 10%, and 13%. People who study this stuff, who call us up and ask for Gyi and Conrad to spend $500 an hour giving our opinion on this stuff, they're thinking about this a lot, and it's actually it's moving the markets. It's moving market caps of some pretty big established firms.
And again, my thing is, let's benchmark, right? There are benchmarking studies. They may be imperfect. We could work on, the industry could work on improving them. But I think that it's incumbent upon everybody to be like, let's prove out whether whose is working best. And I know there's nuance there, and it's harder to implement than easy to say. But I'm very curious, and I don't know. The early my reading of the tea leaves, these foundation models do a pretty darn good job.
All right, moving on. Gyi, I'm going to share some, it's not even news because I don't think we have enough data to prove this, but we are looking at multiple clients who over the last 6 weeks, have seen about a 40% drop in all things Google Business Profile. And I started with my suspicions that there was some shady shenanigans going on because we've certainly seen that in the past. And boy, are we excited to share that when we can. But this looks like multiple clients with a big drop on visibility, impressions, calls, website traffic. You are going to say, I told you so, I think.
I am. As we were talking in the pre-show, back at Local U, it was during the time of SGE. I think we were still in SGE world. Maybe we were just out of SGE world and we were in the experimental AI mode. And you're looking at these non-brand local queries, and it's not local packs at all. And of course, there's been many tests, many iterations. We'll continue to see that, but and we'll share this a screenshot that I took recently. I posted on LinkedIn as well. Lower funnel, non-brand lawyer lookup. It's a table of firms with firm names and benefits of each firm. And so this is why. And we plug near media again. What I care about is if that's going to be the surface, what are the positioning elements that matter to my users, to my local community? And it's very interesting. It's not all the time what people think. And so grateful for the near media. I think we're gonna have a lot of exciting things to be able to share about how user journeys are happening in this new surface.
And next in the news, this is again a micro news segment, but it just happened to my firm again, and I thought this news story had died a while ago. Are you still getting clients struggling to move their WordPress site under their own control when they change agencies? When's the last time, Gyi, you've dealt with this? Because I'm dealing with it right now.
Well, there are some well-known firms that make it very difficult, regardless of platform, to leave. Specifically WordPress, because again, because we talked in the pre-show, I'm going to be presenting to Jay Ruane's mastermind group. We know that a lot of these agencies, that's their game plan for stickiness, right? They register the domain, they own the hosting account.
Dirty.
Oh, totally. They own the hosting account. We've seen that many, many times. We still see it. We see here's your site files on a CD. We probably don't see that one as much. Maybe you can download them now. You can download them now.
So where I was going with this is, how do you figure out? So we've been pushing WordPress because it's very easy to transfer and control, and anyone can work on it.
Right.
But agencies are getting around that WordPress thing by making it very difficult to leave. The answer to how can I take my WordPress site with me is not, we will turn this into a bunch of zip files that you have to rebuild on your own servers. The answer is, in 60 seconds, I'm going to create an admin account for you for your own site if you don't already have it, which you should. And that's how you transfer. So when you guys are talking to agencies about building a WordPress site for them, a great question to ask is, how am I going to transfer this to my ownership? And the only answer is you will have admin level access to your own WordPress site from the get-go.
Agreed. And as a fallback and a little insurance on that, and I'm going to say this, people are going to be surprised to hear it. You'd be surprised how many lawyers don't read their agreements. When you're entering into an agreement with these companies, make sure that you're retaining ownership, not just renting, not licensing, because a lot of times they put it right in the contract. You're licensing your website. You're licensing the website software. So again, even though WordPress is licensed under the general purpose license, general use license, if you're signing an agreement that's licensing the theme files and yada, 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 guess what?
It's not yours.
They own it.
Yeah. All right. Finally, Gyi, is there anything else you would like to announce again?
I am very excited to re-announce that Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit will be taking place August 11th through 13th in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Acme Feed and Seed. We are very, very excited. We're excited about the venue. We are excited about a lot of the creative ideas that are already been percolating. And get your tickets. Get your early bird tickets now because, this is the second time we're doing this. We've already had a lot of attention for it. I suspect that we were going to hit capacity on this.
And by the way, there are only 149 tickets remaining. So act now.
There's probably less than that. So Conrad, I am getting a lot of feedback about the tickets and that there are only 2 ticket types available. In-house marketer or lawyer. What if I'm not an in-house marketer at a law firm or a lawyer? I can't come to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing?
Let me be blunt. We don't want you there. We don't.
Well, you don't, but you're not saying that to everybody. There's lots of people that aren't lawyers or in-house marketers that we plan on inviting to the show.
I would say, I think I would take umbrage with your use of the word lots. There is a handful of select people that we would love to have join us at Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. But I want to be really, really clear. One of the things I hate about conferences and lawyers hate about conferences is that the 2-to-1 ratio of vendors to lawyers. And this is about law firms and this is about in-house law firm marketers. And we want them there and we want it to be about them. You can't make it about them when they represent a minority. And so the people who are not in-house marketers or lawyers are going to fall into one of 3 categories. Number 1, amazing speakers that we think you need to hear from. Number 2, amazing sponsors that we support and believe in that we think you need to hear from. And number 3, anyone who we don't really know and is out of, and excited to do an Ignite style talk out of the box, 5 minutes. You don't control the pace of your own slides. We'd love to put you on stage, but that's it. So I'm going to make unfriends with a lot of people who want to come to the event. I've already told a bunch of people that I love you. Let's have a beer, but not in Nashville. This is about making an amazing conference. And I think it will be better. And I love you guys, some of you. It'll be better for the attendees if you're not there. I hate to say it.
Yeah. And to that point, just to reiterate, it is registration for both tickets and Ignite session pitches is open at lunchhourlegalmarketing.com now.
What if you sign up and you're not a lawyer or in-house marketer and you show up at the security office down at the bottom to get in? What's going to happen?
First of all, we will refund your ticket for you and we will kindly tell you to enjoy Nashville at a different location.
Refund the ticket. Okay, noted.
Well, yeah, you can't be like, let them buy a ticket and then not let them in the show.
I can. Sure, we can.
All right.
Buy a ticket and Gyi and I will put it on the bar tab.
What we'll do is we'll actually, if you buy it, this is what we're going to do. We'll put this in the terms on the site, okay? If you buy a ticket and you're not an in-house marketer or lawyer, we will assume that you are making a sponsorship to the show, and we will call you out on the air for trying to get into the show. That will be your PR, is that we'll give you some free airtime. Not free. It'll be the cost of your ticket.
It'll be the cost of your ticket and your dignity.
Yeah, so you can sponsor the show, but you will get not positive press from it.
Okay.
It's like reverse paid PR.
All right. If you happen to be listening to us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, keep the conversation going. Leave us a comment, ask us a question, have us tear down your own website live on the air. We'd love to hear from you. And I would recommend the latest episode you might like, Local Love, Review Realities, and the Truth about Google's PMax campaign. There was actually, we may be able to follow up on PMax. There was a lot of pushback on my hatred for PMax, but I'm right. Let's take a break. All right, everyone. Last time, Gyi and I dipped our toe into politics, and Gyi mostly lamented the apathy or lack of presence of lawyers pushing back on federal government oversights. And it feels like we've had a turnaround, especially from stuff that I've been seeing. Gyi, what do you think has been... Do you agree with that? Have we seen a change, and how's that coming about?
I would say yes, we've seen a change. There have been several examples. In fact, we got a couple to share.
Yeah,
but there has been a call in defense of the rule of law. I mean, look, again, you say politics, and I posted this too, and I think this is going to be part of the conversation here. People say, well, I'm sick of seeing politics on Facebook. I'm sick of seeing politics. I don't want to talk about politics. In fact, I was on a call with someone who does some consulting work for law firms. And her sentiment is like a lot of the firms we work with, I tell them not to do politics for the very reason that it's going to disenfranchise a large portion of their both potential client and existing client base. And I'm like, I get it. There are risks to speaking out. There are also risks to remaining quiet. And in my view, if you can't at least be aligned on the rule of law, I mean, again, we've talked about this on the show a million times. Aside from the fact of your obligations as a citizen, aside from the oath that you took to defend the Constitution, it's bad for business if there's no rule of law for lawyers. So we've seen a lot of positives. Do you want to call out? You want to call out a couple? Let's call out a couple. Good. We want to amplify the good stuff we're seeing out there.
I started looking and grabbing these after our last recording, and it is showing up. I've got and I don't know any of these people, so don't know any of them. Spencer Falke is a shareholder at Walkup, Melodia, and Kelly. Posted a map on a Walkout Wednesday. Pushing activism there. The National Trial Lawyers had Omarosa as their speaker, and she talked about from the stage that how Donald Trump can't read. That was part of it. So that was a large organization representing a lot of attorneys calling that out. That was from actually Jay Berkowitz. He posted that. This is just a simple post. This is Don Thomas. If you were someone has been arrested for protesting in Texas either this weekend or anytime soon, I'd be honored to represent you pro bono. Right? Puts out a phone number on here. And then I saw this. This was one of the first ones that I grabbed. This is Newman Law Group. Erica Riggs. Have you been injured by ICE? It's a display ad, injured by ICE. And I thought this was really clever because this is a positioning advertisement as much as it is an injured by ICE. The number of people who have actually been injured by ICE, low numbers. But basically what they're saying is if you've been injured and you don't like what's going on with the federal government, you should call us. I thought it was a very, very clever way to do the positioning and branding and standing for something that you and I have been talking about, while also flagrantly advertising, or maybe not flagrantly, nuanced advertising for all kind of injury cases.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting. Got to highlight our friend Patrick Pallas.
Yep. Wait, who's his agency? Sorry, Gyi and I are both bitter about this, Patrick. If you hear this, we both got stung.
Bitter. I'm bitter. I'm not bitter at all.
Keep moving on.
On a serious note, yes. As the president of the National Convention of Bar Presidents, Patrick has led the charge in a pledge to preserve the independence of the legal profession and judicial system. Great leadership, Patrick. I signed it. I support efforts to support the rule of law. So, and again, we get it. There are trade-offs. We can't put ourselves in your situation for making the decisions that you have to make that are right for you. But I think the more that we help educate our communities about what how the Constitution works, what due process means, these are things that are cornerstones of the profession, and we should be, as our sworn oaths to defend the Constitution, we should be getting the word out at the very least.
Do you think there is a space for a law firm to aggressively live on the other side of that? I'm just trying to play law. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here.
We're the anti-due process law firm. Who are you going to help? What are you going to do?
No, I hear that.
Who's your client?
We talk about disenfranchising part of the market, right? And so there's depending on which poll you read, 38 to 41% of the market that vociferously disagrees with where you're currently saying that we should stand. Is there a way for a law firm to stand with that group? However, you or I may disagree with that, that's fine. But how does that Is there a way for that to happen?
Yeah, you can. What do you want to do? You want to go to polls and harass people? I mean, I don't know how you and again, I'm framing like this. Again, for me, there's a civic duty component to understanding how the government's supposed to work, and I get people are disenfranchised and frustrated and all this kind of stuff, and two-party system, and don't get me started. We could improve things, but I don't know how if your business is representing people under the law, I don't know how you stand on the other side against due process.
Yeah.
How do you stand on the other side of due process as a lawyer? Now you can argue like, hey, maybe that's your thing. You're like, I'm going to try to convince some judges that the due process clause only applies to citizens. Like I guess that's the pitch.
Yeah. So no, I'm getting my constitutional stuff correct. No Fourth and Fifth Amendment, right? You're arguing against
no Fourth and Fifth Amendment,
right?
Yeah, and again, people exercising their First Amendment rights that show up using their Second Amendment right. There's no First or Second Amendment anymore either.
Right. You could.
So you're out. You're out 4 of the top 5.
Okay. All right.
Good.
I was just trying to have a balanced, news. I like
I
to be a
think a
reporter.
lot of people. Look, there are plenty of lawyers that have become media pundits that are, trying to make the media in the media, but they're trying to make money off of ads and sponsorships and websites that pay for publishing. But practicing law, look, the government will need lawyers, but I don't. As a private practicing firm, like, how do you do that? I don't know. And guess what? If you're in that spot, if you're listening to this,
yes,
and you are that lawyer,
yes,
hit us up. We promise not to be as nice as we can, and
we promise
we hear
not
from
to
you.
be as nice as we can.
No, we promise to be as nice.
Okay.
I will be as nice. I am extremely nice, guy.
Hey, I'm just trying to give a balanced
you,
story
man.
here, man. You know me. I like to not rock the boat.
Speaking of,
stay tuned for our next segment. When we come back, you are going to hear a great review from Josh Rorschach that is going to pre-shadow the next and final segment where Gyi and I get a little bit ranty about private equity for agencies and private equity for law firms. And we're back. Thank you to Josh Rorschach for this amazing must-listen for lawyers who care about marketing review. Lunch Hour Legal Marketing is one of the most refreshingly honest. There we go. Honest. We're refreshingly honest and useful legal marketing podcasts out there. It's packed with real practical tactical advice you can actually implement, not fluffy theory or recycled buzzwords. What really sets this podcast apart is how candid it is about the legal marketing industry itself. Boy, oh boy, Josh, do we have an episode for you. Stay tuned. It pulls back the curtains on how many marketing companies operate when incentives don't always align with lawyers' best interests and what attorneys should actually be paying attention to if they want real results. The kind of transparency is rare and incredibly valuable. On top of that, the hosts bring a ton of personality. It's smart, opinionated, colorful, and genuinely entertaining, perfect for a lunch hour listen and leaves you better informed instead of overwhelmed. Conrad and Gyi, thank you for delivering so much value. That was awesome. And a great segue into our next segment.
Yes, thank you for that. Very kind words. Speaking of casting aspersions on the legal marketing industry, I'm not even gonna do that. I'm going to just read the facts of what happened. So lawyers that are interested in this thing, we promise you, there's going to be a little bit of groundwork laying here, but we will get to how this is practically relevant for you. But we think that it's a conversation that's important to highlight and to amplify.
And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll make sure that the post is right here for you to read yourself. The advertisement.
And just so that there, anybody who doesn't know about this show that someone shares this, Conrad and I own marketing agencies.
Yeah.
We are worthy rivals. The companies that we're about to discuss are our worthy rivals. You give this conversation and our opinions on this as much or as little weight as you want to, knowing the inherent conflicts of interest, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to lay the what's going on here. February 2nd, the search engine guys, TSEG, give a little free pub to the search engine guys. Post a Facebook post. I've seen these floating around. They're not just on Facebook. They're also sponsored ads.
Yep.
And I'm just going to read it.
Just remember, they're sponsored ads. Okay? We're going to come back to that.
Your marketing agency just got bought. That means the exclusive strategy you paid for is now being recycled for the firm across the street. At TSEG, we don't play both sides. We partner with one firm per market, period. While the big box agencies are busy merging, we're busy winning. Secure your territory before your competitor does. Grow your law firm or get left behind. And then the image is a spreadsheet, and it says, lawyers, acquired agency, you're just number 2,762 now. Acquired agencies serve your competitors too. TSEG is exclusive. We don't work with your rivals, giving your firm the full attention it needs to dominate your market. Conrad, 7 hours ago from the time of recording, shared this on Facebook. And Conrad, what did you say?
Well, I'll read this out because I don't think there's a better way to.
Yeah, it's your word. I think it's appropriate for you to read your own post.
And by the way, I don't even think that this should have gathered any backlash. But I just wrote, trolling for Jason Hennessy and Seth Price's clients. The industry saw mass exodus from Gyi and GF when they were bought by Scorpion, but not the same after these two herringbone acquisitions. Well, I think we announced last week. I mean, it wasn't a secret for about 6 months, but we announced last week, it went public, that Seth's firm, Blue Shark, was purchased. That's in the news. They've been very public about it. Hennessy has been very in front of being purchased by the herringbone people. The CJ, we talked about this a little bit last week. The CJ acquisition was a little bit quieter, I think, simply because they're less digitally focused than the other two, and thus we didn't hear about them as much. But that was very, very kind of out in the open. So to me, it was clearly a shot looking for clients from Blue Shark and Hennessy. I mean that. There's no.
It's clearly positioning against private equity firms, and the implication that private equity firms don't offer exclusivity, and that private equity firms may, treat you like a number as opposed to giving you the more maybe hands-on experience that this firm's do. Now, I don't know. And again, we don't want to paint up with a broad brush, and we'll talk about some of the comments on the thread. Of those portfolio companies, do you know whether or not they offer exclusivity?
No idea.
Okay, neither do I. Let's assume that they do, or that they're going to say that. Seth Price jumped in. He said, "Thanks for the post, Conrad. The reason I love our deal is that it allows our companies to operate intact and not be smashed into a larger impersonal mush. Excited to see the herringbone vision fulfilled with personalized service at scale." He's at least pushing back on the private equity being less personalized.
Well, I think he's also answering your question by not answering your question. He doesn't say, we offer market exclusivity, and we still do.
I think I don't think it's a surprise to anybody to be like, even if the individual logo companies in the portfolio offer exclusivity, or some do and some don't, there's going to be overlap inside the portfolio, right?
That has to be a part of it, right? Like it
has to be. And then the question is, again, trying to be practical and tactical for the audience. These are the questions you should be asking. And then the question is that if that's true, if there is overlap, does it matter? Are you training? Are you sharing data? Are you doing all the things that make exclusivity an issue?
The interesting thing that I've seen out of this, and then we'll get into the back and forth by some of the players later, but the interesting thing that I have personally seen in this, when the Scorpion deal was announced to acquire GNGF, it was announced poorly because it wasn't handled very well. In fact, it was announced on some forums by some clients before it was announced by anyone else. Every single marketing agency got flooded with calls for people who did not want to be handcuffed by Scorpion. There was a known problem with the business model at Scorpion, a known distaste for not owning your own website, a known distaste for not having access to your data, all of those elements, being put on a proprietary platform, those things. There was a known distaste
Doesn't seem to
for
matter.
Scorpion. But every agency picked up a handful of clients when that happened, right? There was a I don't say mass exodus, but like certainly from the chat and our own experience, like 3 or 4 or 5 clients came over. That's
And
not
look, I'll agree with you. Better comms.
Well,
Right.
they did, but I don't think it was. They bungled the communication on that and the rollout. Blah blah blah. Hennessy and Seth. I mean, Hennessy has been very in front of this. Like, I'm a part of this. I'm excited to be this. I'm leading it, and he's owning it. Seth's like the backdoor whispers, like everyone knew, but like they still announced it, and they kind of did this above board. The other ones that were purchased, there were some recently that were kept very, very quiet because I think people didn't want to lose their client list. iLawyer was quiet. This is a little bit further ago. iLawyer and LawRank were both very, very quiet. We ended up telling some of their clients that they had been bought. You know, the client would approach us and be like, "Hey, they're now owned by this other firm," and the clients didn't even know it. So that was kept very secretive. That word is now out. But I think the big thing for me is Gyi, there has not been a flood of people and you and I listen to the industry and we have all these contacts. There has not been a flood of people leaving either Hennessy or Seth. And I think it is because in the former, with the Scorpion example, there was a known it was a known entity with known distaste among the industry. With Herringbone and private equity, I think there's and I've heard this anecdotally, we're going to wait and see, right? And so there isn't and I think and I suspect we'll get this out of Jason and Seth and CJ, there's a really good story for the Herringbone conversation. There's not a good story. There's not a good way that Scorpion can spin like we've just acquired you. I think there is a good...
Yeah, I'm going to push back a little bit.
Go.
Because until they come out and just publicly discuss the issue of exclusivity, it's that issue in and of itself is true both ways. It's true with Scorpion. It's true with this group.
Right. But so we are at this very interesting change in the structure of this business. And we've talked about this in many different ways. But one of the ways that is a very real thing is data matters and size matters. Size gives you data, and that really matters. I've said this before. I wish I had access to Scorpion's data. I wish I had access to that, right?
Yeah, don't you? Because you wish you had access. You wish that you had access to competing. If I was competing in this space, I would love to have my data, my competitors' data being used to help me. So, especially if I'm a smaller guy.
You're taking that to one extreme, right? Like, I'm going to go peek in at the individual data of this specific firm, and I'm going to utilize it for my current firm in my market, right?
Not a peek in. I'm saying you're going to take all my competitors, all of the money my competitors spent. I mean, again, we don't know who's doing this or who's not, but this would be the question I'd be asking. Are you? I'm spending all this money, and you're working inside your portfolio, or if it's Scorpion, you can probably just go look at the bottom of the website. You're working with one of the leading competitors in my space, and we're at war, and the prices are going up. There's consolidation, national players. I'm feeling pressure on all sides. Every little bit of data helps.
Yeah.
I'm spending, several $1 million. Are you using that data to help my competitor? Yes or no?
So let me put this into 2 simplistic buckets. I think if I'm the account manager at Murphy & Murphy and I'm looking at Smith & Jones individually because they're across the street, that would give me pause. Having said that,
what if you're 25 offices and you're up against another person with 25 offices? You're spread throughout the state. You're a major player. You
are 2 major players going against each other. So
I mean, I posted, and I might get this wrong, so you can correct me if I got this wrong. Mike Morse posted about this. He's like, yeah, in Fireproof, we are very selective about those issues.
So
why? Why do you think they're so conscientious about it? Because it matters.
My counterpoint on all of this is and this is the Scorpion argument, and I cannot argue. I don't like their business model. I don't like almost anything about Scorpion. They know how to run pay-per-click better than anyone. Now, my problem with Scorpion, and you may extend this to private equity, is I don't believe they optimize for their clients. I believe they optimize for Scorpion.
That's your opinion, man.
That's like
again, for me, the issue, because again, acknowledging my conflict, acknowledging that I'm not private equity backed. I would say this. Are there private equity deals that are done that are positive for customers, for the entrepreneurs, and for the private equity firms? There are. Is it always that way? No. And these are the types of things that I'd be asking about. I think they're totally fair questions, and I don't think Jason and Seth or anybody else is trying to hide anything. I'll leave it at that. I just think that there are it's a relevant conversation. Anyway, the reason, so I think it's pretty obvious why it's relevant in terms of making a decision about who you're working with and just knowing about how your data is being used. Like, I think that's just good thing to think about. Yeah. But Hodges comes in, our good friend Josh Hodges comes in and says, I did a popcorn emoji because I'm just really enjoying all this. Like, I'm at a theater. He says, Gyi, the law firm versions of this post are going to be great. LOL. And again, we just talked about the Dudley DeBosier MSO deal, who's as part of the CJ Advertising group, the Herringbone group. And so, the pitch is going to be, hey, you guys go practice law, and we got everything else covered. We got marketing through Herringbone, we got MSOs through our MSO partners. We're going to handle all back office for you. You just go, you got more time. And guess what? Everybody's saying, we're going to support you with the tech. We got AI going on. Conrad and Gyi. Yeah, I think they're going to handle some of the marketing, but Conrad and Gyi, they're telling you on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, you need to free up time so you can go deliver remarkable client service, so you can go spend more time in the parts of the marketing activities that are the human connection marketing activities. Right. We're giving you that off-ramp. We're giving you the way to do that. You let us handle everything with the business. You go be human. You go be local. Now, again, how does that play out in these local communities? TBD. But it's a very interesting thing. And I think it's a thing that it's on lawyers' minds. Yeah. They're feeling the pressures of these things. And I think it's funny because it's kind of full circle, right? Like, the positioning that TSEG is using to position themselves away from PE, the version, as Josh is saying, there's going to be versions of this post, of this ad for law firms, right? Yeah. And in fact, I'm recommending it. I'm recommending that.
Well, I think that a couple of things on that. The positioning of this and the response to the post was very weak. Right? Like, if you are going to position yourself against the private equity business agency or law firm, doesn't matter which, like, you got to lean into that and own it and be a part of it. Right. And so it was kind of,
you didn't think they did that?
No, they castrated themselves. Oh, I really like Jason and I really like Seth. And it's this, there are other companies that I'm really talking about. Right. And so listen,
hold on. Let me just read some facts here. All right, so I'll start with number one. This is Chris Massaro. He's I believe he's CEO or president of TSEG. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Conrad. Really putting TSEG on the map. There you go. Some more free pub.
There you go. Free publication. Like I appreciate the passive aggressive backhanded compliment.
Hold on. Well, go ahead. You can have your opinion about it, but the ad was my idea. That you can't get any more owning it than that. Beautifully executed by our marketing team to grab the attention of greats like this group. No 22-year-olds at this point, Jason Hennessy, because he accused him of someone 22 or the marketing department came up with the idea.
Jason took a swipe, right?
He's owning it. Firms acquiring SEO agencies aren't the biggest fan of market exclusivity when it comes to scaling and profitability. TSEG has been one of the few agencies to keep exclusivity in place, with certain states and major markets having the same law firm partner for 20 years. I mean, we turn away PI firms every day who, due to our exclusivity, many of whom eventually hire agencies like yours, helping boost your valuations. So you're welcome. I'm sure my thank you gift is in the mail. I mean,
no, here's my read. This is from Joe Devine.
I don't see how he's not owning it.
This is from Joe Devine. These two fine gentlemen.
Who is Joe Devine? Who is Joe Devine?
Former owner of TSEG, right?
Not a day-to-day operator. Not a day-to-day operator, as he communicates.
These two fine gentlemen, Seth and Jason, are not the only marketing agencies that have sold lately. There have been quite a few marketing companies rolled up, and Jason is correct. I'm not involved in day-to-day, blah, blah, blah. I am also aware that Herringbone does it differently than most companies rolling up. There's only two roll-ups going on right now.
What's the other roll up?
So we've got the law rank, and although Maria says that she's not a roll-up, but it was law rank and iLawyer, both bought by Everservice. She insists they're not a roll-up, although that is actually the definition of a roll-up when private equity buys small companies in the same business.
Maybe she's communicating that they didn't merge or there, and I think she's trying to say we're still operating independently.
Well, she's either part of a roll-up and she doesn't know it, or she's part of a roll-up that didn't work out very well, and it's a fruit roll-up, right? But my point is like don't walk this back, right? You can still be friendly with Jason and Seth and say, I think you have a shitty model now. But don't walk it back.
Well, I don't think Chris walked. So you're saying Joe walked it back. I get that. Joe's not in the leadership role at the company. I know. He's an investor, right?
And I mean this for whatever you do.
He wants to keep the door open just in case he decides to sell someday.
Bingo, right? That's exactly what happened here. And so my bigger thing for lawyers on a positioning perspective, and I'm just going to use this as an example, and it's something that we've talked about over and over again. Lean into your positioning. Lean into it. If you hate private equity, be the whistleblower about why private equity sucks, and don't kind of equivocate and walk it back. You will lose business by trying to appeal to everyone, and that's kind of what's happened here. Like it's just
so tactical takeaways for lawyers. You got private equity coming in.
Yeah.
What are your options? What do you do?
I think like very big picture, and let's not talk about the agency side. Let's talk about the legal side. Private equity.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
That's right.
I think there are a bunch of things to do. The most important thing is to think about this and understand what it actually means. Don't stick your head in the sand and don't think this through. We've talked about some of these things earlier. Go crazy local. That is a very difficult thing for large firms, and PE is all going to be about size and scale and efficiencies, which is why if you've been purchased by private equity along with a competitor, you're in a roll-up whether you want to believe that or not. That's just how finance works. So you got to go local. I also, and I personally hate this. We're in a transition point in the industry. This is a get big or die. It is going to be very difficult to be a small player. And if you don't believe that, watch what happened to the medical industry. There are very, very, very few private when I was a kid, we went to Dr. Heffler and he was the doctor, and every little town had one or two general practitioners. Like that's how it was. That is gone in medical.
Do you know enough about what's going on in medicine with private equity to have an opinion of whether it's been a positive for patient care or not? Because I do.
I can give you anecdotes on that, but if you would like,
there's been tons of studies published on it.
If you would like to share those quickly, go get it.
Yeah,
I'm good. Open that.
We can. No,
so give me thumbs up or thumbs down.
Why don't we do our classic? Do your own research.
No, that's why people listen to us. Don't go to Twitter and tell me politics.
All right, fine.
No. Give me a thumbs up. I'm assuming from your question, the leading question, that it has not been good for patient care.
I would go read, because your sources matter. This is from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Private equity's appetite for hospitals may put patients at risk. December 16th, 2024.
2024.
And you can go read the whole thing. Again, the issue is always the same thing. And again, I'm not casting aspersions on anybody. Herringbone, not all private equity is operating the same way. I'm not casting aspersions at the Dudley DeBosier MSO. I don't know anything about any of these folks. But what I do know is that there seems to me to be a challenge or competing interests between people who are their main goal is to maximize profit. And where that runs into conflict with whether it's patient care or legal services, there are issues there that are real issues.
That is my fourth bullet point on what to do if you're a law firm. I would think around maximizing value, not volume. The private equity game.
Yes.
The playbook is around efficiency and scale, right?
Yeah.
Which is contrary to the concept of the boutique doctor, for example. We now have, I'll extend the medical metaphor a little bit too far, but you now have kind of the subscription concierge medical services, and they can make that happen by maximizing the value of their patients and maximizing the value they give to their patients. Instead of seeing 32 patients a day, they're seeing 8, right?
Right. So they charge a premium for that.
That's right.
And that's tricky to do in the PI contingency fee context.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Okay. We'll see.
So think through, like, I have a great client, COO.
You're going to be like, you're going to go to, hold on, let's just see if we're aligned on what this future looks like. The marketplace is, hey, I charge a 50% contingency fee, half of your recovery.
Yeah.
But I'm local. I'm in your community. I'm an expert in this. Good luck, man.
You're making one fallacious assumption.
I am.
That the end result is the same for the client, going with that small local person and going with the big box. And one of the things,
right? That's a tricky thing to try to position against.
I don't disagree with that. And the PI world has failed repeatedly to differentiate against that. We go to court. There's a whole reason that we call ourselves trial lawyers instead of all of those. But like,
those are good. Those are good.
So that's the pushback that I would have on that. And the other thing that I had on my list of things to do right now is omni-channel marketing, right? You cannot be reliant on any one given channel at this point in time. You have to be running multiple channels. The level of sophistication is getting bigger, and some of those direct response channels are only going to work for high volume, low value shops. That is just a fact. And so if you are...
Explain why that is. Explain why that is to people.
So let's look at what has happened to... This is a great conversation, by the way. Let's look what has happened to the pay-per-click market. I have been hearing for years, and you have been hearing for years, that it's getting worse. It is too hard to make ends meet with pay-per-click. The cost per client is too high. The bids are too high. It's not working. The other side of the equation that is beyond and more important than the cost per clicks or the cost per leads or the cost per consultations or even the cost per clients is what you do with that client after you get them. And if you run a very, very efficient firm that can do volume but not value, pay-per-click still works. It works awesome.
Because you have a much higher target cost per acquisition than your other shop.
Because you're willing to take a 10% margin on 1,000 matters instead of a 40% margin on 5, right?
Exactly.
And that's the difference in the equation. So when you guys say pay-per-click doesn't work, it might not work for you, but from a different business model and a different approach, that changes. The other thing that happens with that is you're actually willing to take more cases. They don't have to be great cases when you're just working to get 10% on top of that cost per client and the work that you put in. And so that's the fundamental difference. And again, for me, if I'm a growing firm looking at this changing sea, what are the things I would do to prepare myself for? It's not the eventual arrival of this. It's not the eventual arrival of money, really sophisticated marketing people, really sophisticated COOs. Like we saw that in 2025. The COOs are here, guys, right? So that has arrived. That has happened. That is where we currently are.
Totally. And again, so just got a couple of tactical points as we're running out of time here, but I just want to stuff this in.
Stuff it.
When you, and lawyers will have to decide where, what they believe in from a positioning, who they're going to make friends and enemies with and all that, navigate all that kind of stuff. But when you get a client that hired a billboard lawyer and they're willing to tell that story about what the differences were, that's your marketing right there. I was with so-and-so national PE-backed firm. This is what they were saying they were going to settle my case for, and this is what local guy who tries cases said it actually settled it for. That's powerful. That is strong positioning against. That's how in my opinion, that's one of the positioning elements. The other thing that I think about and you already said it, but This is why we are all over the place about diversification across channels.
That's right.
With brand, because when you think about it, there is a segment of consumers who already knows and likes you. They already know you. They're, maybe they're some of them are former clients, people in the community and whatever. But they don't remember you if you're not staying top of mind with them, if you're not showing up. People aren't thinking about you all the time. And so you're doing good stuff in the community, the Josh Hodges stuff that he's in their feed all the time. And that's how you peel someone away from making a decision, because you have to give them a reason beyond, I remembered your phone number from your jingle, or I remembered your name because I drive past your billboards and listen to your radio. You have to give them a reason to choose you over them. That's the game.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining Gyi and I this has been more ranty than we typically do. And
give us
bluntly,
feedback whether you like this rantiness.
I've enjoyed it. I will tell you that some people over at TLEG will give us negative feedback. Anyway,
I don't think so. I think they're going to be they're going to say thanks for the free PR.
That's what they should say. That should be where their brain is. Thank you for the free PR. They would like
Chris
you to know
already said it,
that they are exclusive and they hate some private equity firms. How's that?
Get your popcorn out, folks. It's an exciting time. Until next time, Conrad and Gyi, farewell from Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
Money makes a it makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round. Money makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round.